Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Collin Bronson. I'm the owner's rep for NVE and Shepard Point Road project. Thank you for coming. This is good. It's a good turnout. I'm here representing NVE and a lot of the project. I'll go through some stuff, but I also brought the brains here, the builders and designers and environmental permit folks that really make this whole thing happen. So they're here and they're going to jump in throughout the conversation. We've got folks from Jernigan Marine, GMC Contracting, Bristol, Midnight Sun, and they have a lot of history with this project and they know the day-to-day stuff. So we'll go through some things. Please feel free to ask questions whenever you like. No problem interrupting. We'll just kind of keep pace and see what's on people's minds and talk about the project. You know, start out with a big picture project and then kind of narrow down to where we're at and where we hope to be in a couple more years. So I think we should start out with a bang. Yeah, so pretty cool. But the point of this and a lot of this, I just want to say a testament to these guys, especially GMC, is the precision that they do their work. And that's, you know, those are precise blasts. It's not chaos all over. Just really neat work they do. And this is just the very start of a lot of steps of a lot of hard work. So from there, let's go to, where is the next one? Flying north. Yep. Yeah. Here's another quick video just to show you what we're talking about. And this is the latest, this, what, a week old? 5 days old?
That's right where we're at. Yeah. That's right where we're at.
That's, blew that up. Look it out.
Beautiful.
.3 miles total. And we're at about, what do we have, 3 and change right now? Pioneer?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, about, yeah.
We're doing really good. Well,
so you can see we've got a lot of bypass roads and things just to make the road. You need to make room. Obviously, you can't just burrow your way through on a single lane, but this is the work. And obviously, there's a lot more work to go.
that's at the bypass, and that's around. That's working around a bridge that's not ready to go yet. So you see these big turns, which you wouldn't have on the coast, but you can see the real roads you can be down there. This is a bypass road.
Yeah, that's a bypass. Okay, so it's that, and then we'll look at one more, the bridge north to south. And here's the first bridge, 200 feet long. It's at Humpback Creek. It's an overpass. And that bridge landed today.
Today?
Landed today. So
the first Cordova overpass.
Yes. So that goes over the old timber frame bridge at Humpback Creek.
Landed.
They push it out across and it lands on the other side. So it's jargon.
Cantilever launch.
There you go, cantilever launch. And this is where we make rock, crush up big rocks. So that's just a taste for what we're talking about here. So give you an idea of what the road looks like. You can see it obviously from the water, but you can't see all of it. A lot of it's obscured by trees. So again, this is Shepard Point Marine Tribal Transportation Oil Spill and Marine Casualty Response Facility. And these are the folks that represent NVE on this and are making it all happen. Next slide, please. So this is going back in time, the old Shepard Point cannery. And we had an earthquake, and that uplift made the cannery for a number of reasons, but the uplift caused the cannery to not be viable anymore. So there was a lagoon in there, and then that lagoon disappeared, and we've got a 5.5 acre facility plan there. I'll show you the drawings of that in a little bit, but it's 5.5 acres. So the road will take us 4.3 miles to Shepard Point, and the 5.5 acres of deep water dock, boat ramp, small boat facility, and then other buildings for casualty response. But what I like to tell people is that, yes, it is an oil spill response facility. However, it's building capacity that we don't have, namely a deep water dock. and you can use it for any number of things. So it's a redundancy, but it's almost not even a redundancy because we don't have a deep water dock in Cordova. So when this is done, we will, because I think where the face of the dock will be, it'll probably be 70 feet deep or so. I mean, very deep. And, you know, everyone knows now in Cordova, if you draw over 18 feet, you really can't tie up or else you're going to touch bottom at low tide. So this will provide a deep water port for a number of things. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's easier. So anyway, 64 earthquake, the port there, or the lagoon was high and dry. Then obviously 89, oil spill, the settlement, most everyone here I know knows this stuff very well. Part of this settlement was that there would be an oil spill response facility built in Cordova, and it took 40 years to get us to where we are today. NVE took over construction, operation and maintenance of the project, the goal to build this oil spill response terminal, build that capacity that we don't have. We have an all-weather airport, and soon we'll have a deep water port that can help respond to casualties because there's a limit in Prince William Sound of what we can do. But it's also much broader than that. It's not just a Prince William Sound capability because we have increased vessel traffic going through the Great Circle route from Asia to the US. As Canada increases its petroleum exports, there's more vessels going through the Gulf of Alaska. So there's an exposure there to problems. Selendang IU, anybody remember that? Selendang IU? Yeah, it's that kind of thing. If you have a drift grounding or loss of propulsion or something like that, you need response vessels. This place, when fully realized, will have the capability to respond to casualties close and much farther out. So 2017 Army Corps of Engineers approved the construction of Shepard Point Road, and Krista will talk about that a little bit when we get into environmental, because I know a lot of people want to know about the environmental stuff, permitting, and that is a lengthy and sometimes painful process. 2022 Federal Highway Administration grant was awarded to the project, so we got about $120-some million to build this. Whoa, Anna. Project needed: improve and enhance existing capabilities and maximize efficiency of Cordova's response. It's really a regional response capability for really anything. Again, building capacity that we don't have. But primarily, because of the consent decree from Exxon Valdez, we have to build an oil spill response terminal. And that's what we're doing. Provide a dedicated staging area and buildings and all this stuff, decontamination stations, all those things that you you need if you have to respond to a large oil spill, or if you natural disaster of any kind as well. I'd lump that in there, tsunamis or whatever the case is. Remember, all-weather airport in Cordova, and now a deep water port. That's a very good thing to have. And resupply, continuous transfer of materials, all those things. So there's a redundancy. You can bring stuff to town, but you can bring big stuff into Shepard Point. So that's a good thing to have. Again, construct an oil spill response casualty facility and be able to house all the things that an oil spill response requires, as well as for all the other days that it's not being used as a casualty response facility, you can use that for other things and bring in deep draft vessels. Yes, sir.
So is there presently any plan to have any fueling out there? Any fuel storage?
Yes, but
only for the generator.
Only for the yeah. So yes, there will be tanks for the generators to supply power, but I don't think there's going to be the big refueling.
It's just for the generator.
Yeah.
Why are you running generators?
It's just this
For power?
generator.
You've got a power plant right
We don't have power that runs there yet.
next to it. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are-
That's that's part of the long-term plan is to run power up there.
And Providence says generators, but generators go by any very important piece of infrastructure. There's a
Yeah, we'll have to have it for emergencies anyways. So yeah, whether it's all powers created by the generator or just emergency backup, plan is to eventually run power from Humpback Creek. So the road started as a double lane roadway, then we decided to take it down to a single lane roadway. It's just the most cost effective. It goes to a lane and a half, Norm,
Yeah, about that.
lane and a half, and there's lots of turnouts like as you saw in the video. So.
16-foot top gives you room, your vehicle can can meet if they're a little careful.
Yeah. And what's the grade, max grade for this?
Max grade on this is 14%. Just one section.
One section. Okay. Yeah, so see, 14%. But, and it was built to the standard of no more than
PWA low volume road standard.
less than 400 vehicles per day. So it'll all be gravel. It's not getting paved. And 5.5 acres at Shepard Point. So there, you can see it right there. This is just obviously the Google Earth view, but you can see where the yellow line is the road, 4.3 miles. So here's the timeline, starting with 1989, going to our final right-of-way acquisitions and start of construction. There's a lot that goes into this. I'm sure you can appreciate. That's not best chart. Here we go. So again, here's Shepard Point, and you can see deep water, much deeper than anything in town. And there's, you know, a large turning basin in Nelson Bay, so you can bring large vessels in. They can cast through and tie up right there. Project benefits. So, like I said, it's building capacity that we don't have. So, laydown area for gear storage and loading, marine casualty response for other vessels, not just one that's home ported here. We'll have multiple vessels that can come and go from here. The dock's not that big. It's not big enough to tie up, I don't know, a cruise ship. If that was on your mind, some people, yes. It's not that big. It's not, you know, we're not designing it for vessels over 300 feet. So they'll have plenty of water under the keel, but it's only so big. But for most of the oil spill response vessels that you have in Prince William Sound, really anywhere, they're only a couple hundred feet long. So we'll easily be able to accommodate them. Probably multiple vessels, multiple Osros. And then, like I said, behind it would be like sort of a natural break wall by the dock, with a pier rather. And they'll have small boat facility and a launch ramp too. So a lot of boats can come and go from there. Yeah, Prince William Sound. So here we go back to the benefits for the oil spill response capabilities. This is a map showing all the oil spills within Prince William Sound over the last 10 years. So I was kind of surprised, more than you think. Category 1, I don't know the exact size of 1 to 5. I know 5, I can all imagine what 5 is. Yeah, so there's a lot. It happens. And so it would be nice, and you never know when it's going to happen. I mean, you can kind of predict where the big stuff obviously goes, but then there's all kinds of things, and I don't know to what degree these were responded to. I don't know if boom was put out for every single one. I don't know if skimmers were put out for every single one. I suspect not, but it's one of those things where a spill response facility in Cordova would make that response better and have a fighting chance at cleaning up oil. So this is what I was talking about in that great circle route. This is a heat map of vessel traffic. So you can see there's a ton of stuff that goes obviously through UNIMAC, and it's only increasing, it's not decreasing, and the vessels are just getting larger and larger and larger. And as Canada builds out their Prince Rupert facility to move crude out, this is just going to get hotter, more stuff coming through. And this is where Selendang IU was, right around here. It was loss of power and partial grounding. So anyways, to have something there is better. Anchorage has response capabilities, but it's icebound in the winter. Kodiak certainly has some. Dutch Harbor certainly has some, but it's the idea that you never know where it's going to happen. You have a pretty good idea of where stuff's going to happen, but you don't know exactly where, and you never know if the weather's bad in Kodiak if you can respond in a timely fashion. So have more capability is not a bad thing. So this is the proposed, one of the proposed designs for the facility at Shepard Point. So you can see small boat launch, deep draft dock, and we're working on different designs on what's going to fit best and meet our needs, meet the budget, and all those things. More schematics, detail engineer stuff. Boring. Oh, and here we go. Here's our road cut section. Norm, you got any insights on this? Anything, Norm? Norm's the designer of the road, so he knows everything.
But this is showing that basically the cross-section at the beginning, from the existing highway up to across Orca Creek. This is actually the two-lane section, and we wanted to keep the two-lane section in that area because of the deep rock cut. Would be difficult in the future to widen. And as it gets on beyond Orca Creek, north of Orca Creek, then it goes down to the one lane with turnouts.
Thank you, Norm. There's a single lane
This
cut.
gives you the idea of what the section would be a little bit further up.
Prefabricated bridges. You saw the first bridge get launched. It's almost, well, it is in place now. The decking's not on, but got a lot of bridges going in. And any questions on the bridges, Norm? Anybody?
For me,
Yes.
not about bridges, but I had a question about the dotted line. Sorry. One more. What's those dotted lines at the top of that schematic?
On this particular?
Yes.
Mean low water.
What's the inside depth between, is there gonna be moorage on either side of that, or you have a 364-foot run, and then it looks like presumably 150 feet on either side of the run? You know, are our boats gonna be able to tie up on the inside, or, I mean, that's.
Final design on the dock is not done yet. So one of the things we're looking at is to have small boat moorage back here and back here. And it would be like a side tie. So it wouldn't be slips necessarily, but it'd be a side tie opportunity. But again, we're still working on the details of exactly what it's going to look like, how big the launch ramp's going to be. And we have one design of 60 feet, one design of 30 feet. So there's a lot of room. Right now, our focus is on building the road. And as we're doing that, we have people that are designing, going through different designs for the dock itself. Bridges. Done. Want to add anything to the construction, excavation, blasting?
Well, one, we don't run John Deere trucks.
Stock photo, man. I don't know. Google. Just Google.
One that runs a boat, probably on the cat motor.
Yeah, this is blue background. Yeah, this was.
Yeah, so the road that you guys are getting is really challenging, and it's gonna be really pretty when it's done. I know it looks a little bit ugly when construction happens, it's a little bit ugly. But once it's done, it'll be somewhere really cool to drive. Like, I don't know, I mean, I do it in Whittier. I grew up in Whittier. Like, I live in Anchorage, but I grew up going to Whittier all the time. And they pushed that shotgun cove road out, and they've been battling that. I don't know, you guys know how long they've been working on it, like 5 years, 8 years. So but every time I can, I'll drive out it, and it's a cool drive, you know. And then when it's spring, before we go do anything, like we'll go ski out, like just skin out and skin down the road, and like it's pretty sweet. And the kids will come with it. Like, this could be a whole new road, like. And honestly, the challenges with it just comes with trying to put in a new road. And I know that Cordova is no road, because like I grew up in Alaska, I know Cordova is no road. Well, this is kind of a road, right? But it's not like a road anywhere. It's just going to a spot that is gonna help for it. To me, it's like you can accept that. Like it's going to a cool spot that has to be. That is the best spot to like deal with the oil spill and all that stuff. And I just know that my dad, when we were boating in Whittier, he was like, these maps are old, and he read old on them, and that was before Cordova lifted, like the whole area lifted, and then these were new, so we can still use these for like navigating a little bit, but not for depth because it lifted, and so that's why this whole thing is going on. Like, it's really weird.
It's really the only feasible place to have a deep water.
Yeah,
It just doesn't get deep enough fast enough anywhere else.
So, just following up on what he just talked about, so what is the public access going to be?
It is a public road. It's funded by federal money, taxpayer money, so it's a public road. The only time it would be closed down is if there's a rock slide, avalanche, something like that, that it's a safety issue. But otherwise, it's a full public road.
Year round.
Year round,
Year round.
year round.
Maintained plowed by even with the minimal width.
Yes. Yeah, that's part of the contract to build the road, is that you have to be able to maintain it and it has to be open to the public.
Even though we only have one operator.
What's the maintenance?
Well, maybe a contract out, but again, that's long-term business model stuff. Maybe a contractor that does that for DOT.
So Colin, what you're saying is we already have some pretty hard snow removal, and people live in places where the snow doesn't get removed in a timely manner, and this isn't gonna make it worse.
Their state and their
It's
city.
contracted in their state and their city, so this will have to be covered by
The state,
the state or contracted to a subcontractor. So I think that's a distinction, because that was my question, is that, well, we have two people and all winter, they're really focused on the airport.
Winch is a pretty hard road to
Yeah.
drive down in the winter, and I would need for it to get less attention.
Sure, yeah, it's a good point, but it has to be done, so it'll probably be contracted. But again, that's long-term business stuff. This tonight is construction, so how that works out, yes.
I have a bridge question.
Yeah.
It's more engineering related, but why prefab? Is that due to ease installation so that you don't have to worry about weather? Is it because that was your contract?
Get the bridges?
Yeah, absolutely. So the prefabricated bridges are just a quicker install. So with this project, speed is of the essence, time is of the essence, if you will. So it allows for a quicker install. The challenge of this road with bridge installation is trying to continue pioneering efforts and roadway efforts and being able to haul along the roadway. But when launching the bridge, it'll shut down the road. So if you shut down the roadway, can't pioneer, project slows down. And so it's a little bit of a balancing act to do both at the same time.
And so it still takes a lot of time to assemble, but like, they just come in parts, like Tinker Toys. Like, it does, but it takes a lot of time to assemble, but it's just easier and we can still get by it when we have to haul our rock.
You assemble it as you launch it. So it's a cantilever launch bridge. So let's just say you'll assemble 60 feet of it, and then you'll launch that 60 feet out, and it'll be cantilevered out over the end of the abutment.
Push it with the bulldozer.
Yeah, with the bulldozer. The bulldozer you'll then anchor it down to deadman, bulldozer pull away, and you'll build another 60 feet of it. And then you push that out, and then you go again. So you're only taking up so much room, which allows the other workers to get around and the rest of the construction to continue to happen.
Yes.
So federally built road, federal inspection as you build it, correct? Make sure that we're federally built roads, so federal inspections as we build it.
Yeah, I would put that to the engineer.
Yeah,
Acceptance rate.
Yeah, hello, good evening. My name is Craig Hughes. I'm the production manager for the design team. I've seen most of you folks already one time at least before, but thanks for the great turnout tonight. Good question. So what the FHWA, they do come every once in a while, but they're leaving the inspection to the design team, which is who I represent. And we're engineers, licensed in the state of Alaska.
Cool, and so your plan is to build all the way through the winter?
No, it's a
The contractor.
Thanks a lot, right? That was what you guys
No.
found.
Yeah, no, here's the, like, let's just be heartfelt here for a minute. Like, my boys need like a break. Okay, so they're leaving. Like, they worked really hard from whenever they started April, and it's Thanksgiving. And I need them to go home. I need them to like just reset, refocus, calm down, because we've done a very good job about safety, and that's our biggest mantra is safety, safety, safety. So that we're gonna stop. And we're just taking a break. We may do some small stuff, but it'll be after the holidays. I mean, I just need these guys to have a little bit of time, but I guess I don't know the whole intent of the question. They will take a break.
I'm checking to see when you're going back at it, because I'm thinking about avalanche season.
Oh, yeah, so
That stretch of road
thank you, that's a great,
specifically,
yeah,
like that's
awesome
something that
question. Yeah, so where we're working right now, not avalanche area, and where we plan on working during the winter months, if we do anything, will be out of avalanche area. And we've, okay, so I'm gonna mess up here. I don't remember the guy's name, but the local Cordovan that is the avalanche predictor dude. Where does he?
That dude?
Yes, so he, yeah. Okay, so you send me an email, like, so when we start to work in the springtime, just to move north, that's who we talk to. Like, I've worked in Juneau. Juneau has a lot of bad avalanches. It's not real cool, right? Like, and so does Upper Hillside and then Anchorage. Not good. You need to have someone that knows the slides and everything like that. So when we start to move north from where we're at now, Humpback, towards Shepard, that is where the shit happens, right? Sorry, the stuff happens. And so that is where we would be concerned about avalanches, and that's where your expertise would come in very, very handy.
Well, and
Great.
spring, the new LiDAR will be out too for USGS. So that's going to be really amazing as well. And then my only other question. I like that. My only one other question is, so our board for keeping it to where we could dock the cruise ship, is there a reason specifically why we wouldn't do it slightly larger to allow for bigger vessels?
Money.
I think it's probably cheaper on the
No.
for a lot of
The cruise ship question is like business development, like it's out
way
of,
out there.
it's out of our
Preview.
purview. We don't, I mean, that's not the plan.
It's a different talk.
It's a different discussion, and it, again, like,
I'll let it go.
so there's a couple things. There's like the road's really not big enough for having like two-way traffic, like constant two-way traffic if you were like disembarking a cruise ship. It's just not that kind of road, and the dock's not big enough.
In emergency situations, like if we have, like, say we don't regularly dock them, like that's not our policy, but in an emergency situation, if we had to dock a larger vessel for some reason, like, would we not build our dock a little bit bigger just to,
Do what they did in Cold
Yeah.
Bay when that plane had to land,
yeah, like,
sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
maybe we build a bigger dock, that's not our purpose, it's not something we regularly do, it's not our policy, but if there was an emergency, we have the capacity to do that looking forward, right?
Emergencies are a totally different business. It's totally different. Like what you do in case of an emergency, could you tie a bigger boat up at a 300-foot dock? Sure.
Okay, so it should be treated.
If I may, the total thinking on the mooring is, aside from the dock, off of each end, there'd be tie-up dolphins out there, so we could handle something that was upward of 600 feet if we had to.
What if we would dolphin?
Pilings,
Dolphin
or
is
you can run lines out to them. Yes.
Yes.
I think what's important to think about is that there is no intention with this facility or the dock for cruise ships in mind, and it is solely, the sole purpose of it is for marine casualty and oil spill response, and every single aspect of the project that went into this, including the road size, the facility, property area, the dock, everything is specific to marine casualty and oil spill response. And so there is absolutely no way, especially with the way the federal funds were received, that anything else can happen other than what it's created for.
Thank you.
Define casualty, what does that mean?
Marine casualty, so if a boat gets hit out in the Gulf or in the Prince William Sound, or if it hits a rock or something happens, the engine blows up, whatever happens in that sense, we have the ability to respond from this area to that boat. And we're the only one in Prince William Sound that will be able to do that. And with the important thing about the oil that comes out of Valdez, and we all know Serbs, they only attack, or I should say, like they respond to marine casualties or oil spills that are only from the pipeline. So this covers everything else.
What is the complement of ships that use the harbor? Is it barges and tugs?
Depends. It's long-term business development. Again, whatever fits, it just depends on what's being used. Is it going to be here full-time? Is it not going to be here full-time? It really depends, and that's longer term, post 2027 business plan. This is construction. So again, here's another view of what Shepard Point will look like. Boat ramp, dock. Again, we're working on this. It will have a helipad, some facilities, which aren't on here, but for all the things you need. Covered space, which we can all appreciate. Project schedule. And we're in 24-ish, late 24. So bridge construction, we're moving bridges into place. Port construction, that'll probably in the next couple of years do test piles and things like that and get our design finer tuned to what exactly we want. And so wrapping up the project somewhere 28-ish, 27, 28. Question.
Looking at that previous slide, it looks like you're planning to fill in the old lagoon. Is that correct?
The lagoon is pretty much gone now. There's nothing there.
It's a low spot.
It's a low spot,
Very
yes.
low.
Yeah. What we went out there the other day. What was the elevation of the low spot? The highest
Like
level,
15
lowest
minus.
level.
I think it was like 15.
15 minus, like it's like 15, 18 feet below where why that the whole neat lagoon, whatever. It's now 15 foot below what we need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to come
It's above mean low water right now.
Got raised.
But we are going, in the
It
earthquake,
floods on a high tide still.
it will flood occasionally. But the overall for the bulkhead that's going to go in there for the development, that'll get about 15, still in the works, 15 to 20 foot of fill through there with a big sheet pile bulkhead, or a different bulkhead. So those design and concepts of what that bulkhead or what that facility is going to be finished as is still in the works with Bristol.
permits. Lots of words, lots of things. Kristen's
Yeah, there's
here.
lots of permits, obviously with the job size, so this is not an exhaustive list of all of our permits received for this job, for project. So we, let's see, how that's not in order. So as we said, the Federal Highways Administration is the lead federal agency, and that happened in 22 when we did the, road design or redesign from the 2-lane to the 1-lane and received the funding, and that's when they took over as the federal agency. So we have core permits, eagle permits, national marine fisheries for the marine mammals. We have monitors out there, fishing game. I mean, I can answer any questions. Yeah, SHPO, we've done cultural resources. I think there's another slide of
another slide,
permits.
Originally, the road was going to be right down on water level, kind of like the road going out to Orca now, but because of the eelgrass beds, it had to get elevated away from the eelgrass beds. And if you think about it, at first I thought, well, why are we putting it in the land if you could just put it right down? You have lots of water. But that ribbon, that critical ribbon of tidal land and the eelgrass beds in there, that's a very small fraction. You can't interfere with that. So that's why the road moved up from down, and that's why we got the permission to do it. So there's also cultural artifacts, significant or
Yeah, we did
historic
full
preservation
resources
office.
surveys and I believe 22. And then, I don't know what the next slide is.
Somebody asked the other day, they asked about cultural archaeologists on site. And one of the things that did a survey, it's not needed, but if cultural artifacts of some kind that were unknown are found, all work stops and then we do the proper procedures to document and take care of that. The old water tower at Orca has got to be reinforced. That has to be protected so that none of the work that goes on around it compromises that. It's 100 and something years old. And so, so those methods and measures are in place and permits are in place. So it's not just environmental, it's cultural as well. Question? Yes,
I asked you that question.
I didn't want to punch out. I didn't
So we have found artifacts up there. And there is some of our, at least she's passed on, one of our tribal members was born there at Shepard Point. Another one, the was on his way to town, his mom was way to town, he was born on the ocean dock. So has significance as a fish site, Humpback Creek itself. That's why I asked the question, is there anybody on site as this construction work is going on? And the answer I got from you was, I don't know.
No, the answer is no.
But anyway, we got the experts here, the people.
Yeah, the answer is no, but we have completed a memorandum of agreement with the SHPO and surveyed each of those sites and pulled artifacts and things of them.
So I was the designated historic preservation officer for the tribe back in the day, but nobody recognizes me anymore. And I did find an artifact up there, and it did create a crisis through the BIA. It was a greenstone adze, and the people that were against the road was using it as a reason to stop. And all stop. But it wasn't the first all stop we got. I mean, I've been working on this thing for over 25 years. But anyway, I do have concerns for archaeological sites that could be impacted, you know, since it's a historic fish camp.
Sure.
Talking to the elder ladies, most of them are gone now, that every salmon stream between here and Titley, there was a family that fished it every summer. Pre-contact, they had smokehouses and drying racks and everything. And so it's important to me personally, as a tribal member, that these things are considered. And to correct that what you've been saying about this is an oil spill response road. We worked with the Kurova Electric Co-op. It's going to access Humpback Creek, which is very important. It caught on fire and burned up. It cost them millions of dollars to fix it because he had to use the boat traveling back and forth. And it's also, we looked at the potential of putting a hatchery in Humpback Creek. And so it's feasible. So there's other things there. Plus we looked at the water, for town water, we looked, you know, and even looked at a water bottling plant. So there's other things that are going to come from this site.
It's a good point. Building capacity.
Yeah.
So these actually aren't permits, but just some of the major kind of regulatory conditions and permitting requirements that we have. So monitors for blasting when we are, within so many feet of the shoreline. When we're able to clear for eagles, birds, and then the noise restrictions. So it's just a few of them. We have pages of environmental conditions that we have to meet on site, and that we're doing inspections for weekly.
Stormwater.
Yeah, and I have to say,
Hazardous materials, oils, fuels.
pretty impressed with
lots.
with what I see when I go out.
Yeah.
Good job.
So we have a hand up?
If any archaeological site is exposed during excavation, the contractor will stop and notify the environmental team, and an archaeologist will be employed to go look at it.
And we have those reminders regularly.
Doing really. Questions? Yes.
Colin, can you show those drone shots again?
Sure.
People here missed it.
Absolutely.
Pretty interesting.
Happy to. Thank you. Show the bridge line. Or whatever.
This one?
Yeah, let's just do this one.
No, it goes back all the way.
That's my concern, but also that's not,
So the permitting
it's not part of their.
finance. So,
Any other questions? Yes, Heather.
Do you guys have a tsunami inundation rally point planned in?
Hold up. Tsunami inundation rally point. As far as the construction folks,
As far as,
Or
well, I'm assuming that
full out
while
go
you
back.
guys are doing the road, that if there's tsunami, you guys are just gonna go 50 feet up the hill, right? Because that's like the only option.
well, I mean, not to sound super dumb, but yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, we're gonna go uphill. I mean, but we have a muster point. I mean, we have muster points along the way. But like if there's a tsunami, yeah, it's go uphill. And so, sorry, I mean, I don't know if there's anything better to say than that.
But I think like at the end of our build, have you guys planned that into like the final construction? Like you have a.
The road's higher than most tsunamis are gonna hit, no matter what, in a bunch of spots. And maybe some spots it's lower. It's like the Seward Highway.
Bridge.
Yeah, we have a contract, with Moss and Nickel on our design team. They did a measurement analysis and, their seismic wave analysis was a little bit, over 24 feet above mean level of water.
Yeah.
I'm just checking.
We're higher than that all along the whole line.
And the last earthquake that happened, elevated everything enough. I think it was 15 feet. Montague lifted 15 feet. That mitigated a lot of the massive tsunami warnings. So like because it's so shallow, the wave's going to breach out. Like so, I think that yeah, cross your fingers, right? But
Yes, sir.
I remember in the '64 earthquake, good portion of the town went and stood on the sidewalk between Wells Fargo and Copper Valley Wireless. And we were watching for the tsunami to come in. And what it looked like was one of the vortices. You see the vortices come in. That's all it looked like out here.
Yeah, Cordova is fortunate with the surrounding islands and land formations. You don't have a high susceptibility for large seismic events. Well, not seismic, tsunami events.
So wait a minute, that's question.
anger shaking.
We're looking at new tsunami inundation evacuation mapping. And so part of that is like later on what that mapping looks like. And I want to make sure that we carry it out.
That's good. Yeah.
So I guess it's maybe it could be too deep of a question, or it's a fiscal question. So a lot of this is federal funding. Is there a concern that some of this federal funding might
Go away.
go away?
It's already been
And,
allocated.
Then what happens?
It's already been allocated.
Okay,
So
okay.
It's
that's-
2022,
perfect.
23 funding. So those funds are already locked out.
Okay,
So
perfect.
in the future, I don't have a crystal ball for that. So, yeah.
Does that mean that like the 2027, like do you have money through the 2028 deadline?
To build the
Finish?
project, yeah.
Okay.
Because you have 6-7 years to spend the money. So you have quite a bit of time. Yes,
Should we get the same contractors all the way through the whole project?
yes.
We're hoping if they behave.
They're saying no.
Come on, keep us around.
Come on,
Keep us around.
people.
That means you're all gonna build homes in Cordova, correct?
They don't
Stay
do
with
that.
their friends.
Yeah. You want to live on a dock or, any other questions?
So-
Yes.
Do you have any drawings or anything, graphics? I still don't fully understand where it's going once it hits Orca. I mean, how's it going around Orca Cannery?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm just not.
That's one of our hot points.
yeah, that's a challenging part of the bill, but it goes behind. So as you're approaching Orca Lodge, use my imagination paintbrush, there's an area where you can get up behind a cliff, get up, and it's just gonna run around behind Orca Lodge.
So before you get to.
Before you get to Orca.
But
So-
there's that huge waterfall creek.
But that's
Go out
past
beyond
Orca.
that?
It'll all
There'll be an
be,
intersection a little bit before the last turn going into the lodge area. There'll be an intersection there in what is now a rock face. We'll cut up through that and where the bridge over Orca Creek is a couple of 100 feet up the hill from the city's water treatment plant there. So we're close, we're very close behind Orca Lodge. And, you know, that we're sensitive to that because of the nature of the construction work in there. We're trying to be a little bit seasonal sensitive on that.
That uphill from the.
We're uphill
water
from the
tank and
tank.
downhill from the dam.
We're uphill
Yes.
from the tank, yeah, by a bit, and it is gonna be very close to them, and we are very sensitive because our guys stay there. So, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Steve's a very nice guy, and like, so we're doing our best to like, time our stuff that we work there and how we approach the work there, because we know that his business and his livelihood is like, has to do with people staying there, so we're doing our best to do that, but we will be fairly close to it. And like, there will be access from his area up into there to do it. I mean, it's not gonna be like all of a sudden just bypasses or you won't even see it. Like, you're gonna see it. And he knows that, his wife knows that. Like, it's been explained, it's just a tough deal with construction, and it happens, but we are aware of it. We're doing our best, like, to schedule everything around his busy times, and that's all we can do, right? And they've been great, so that's all I can say.
She was done. The idea is that it will sort of be a sister facility for, not necessarily connected to what CERB is, but have you started any pre-training for folks who would be working
Operating
out
facility?
at Shepard Point?
So those are conversations that we have to have with the partners of the project and looking at, you know, we have contracts with Alaska and Eyak Corporation, and there's all about conversations of how, like, what the facility, like, who's gonna rent it and things like that. So all of that's like very preliminary, and we haven't really gotten that phase yet. We're still focusing on getting the road done, getting the pad built, getting a facility structure built, and then the dock built. So that's kind of on everybody's mind. And then once that gets to like almost completion, I think that's when the conversation will start with our partners and things like that on what's going to happen next.
Yes, ma'am.
I arrived late, and I just have a question about maintenance, road maintenance, once this facility, the road's completed and the facility's in place. Has anyone had a conversation with the state of Alaska or the city of Cordova as to who is ultimately responsible for maintaining that road?
So yes, it's in the contract. It's all part of building this road. So it's a public road maintained by DOT to the extent that they're going to maintain it. I don't know what capacity they have, but somebody has to. So it's subcontracted out. Somebody will have to maintain it. But as far as communication with DOT and the city of Cordova, it's a well-worn path and well aware of the requirements. But it has to be maintained to be a public road.
Right, but who's gonna pay for the maintenance?
Part of the facility. The facility will pay to have it maintained.
Okay, so the facility is owned by,
NVE.
okay, so NVE will be responsible for paying for the maintenance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The state was taking over the road.
That's-
No, they mandate it,
They mandated.
but there's a cost associated. They don't do it for free. There's a cost associated. That's why I say
Between
there's
NVE and DOT.
a subcontract that's most likely going to end up, just because the reality of
So it's not gonna be like, it's not gonna be like the highway as far as state maintained gravel road.
No. But there is a requirement for it to be maintained.
Required, but they have a pot of money.
Yes, and it's also part of the business development to generate income, so you can do things like that, like maintain the road. Yes, sir.
How big is the work crew out there now?
I think we're like 18, 20 people.
Right now, summertime, what do we, like,
Well,
any given day, 50?
Yeah. Well, we swelled up because we're doing bridges.
Yeah, bridges.
And bridges and the walls. So we're like at 20, 25. My crew is 14. And that's like from the yellow iron that's out there, and then his.
We got about another 10 or so on the bridge, running the bridge work right now. When IRT's in, there's up to 25 more personnel on site, working with our crews.
IRT is the military.
The National Guard folks who were here this summer. They'll be back next summer, most likely.
How many bridges altogether?
Six now. Yeah, we went
now,
5 to 6
yeah.
just like 2 days ago.
Yeah, changes quick.
Not a big deal.
Just to help this lady back here, the Native Village of Eyak has been involved in environmental cleanup, oil spill response, ever since the oil spill. We've responded to the Windy Bay in Eyak. We've responded to another one in Valdez Arm. And a lot of times we're just the oversight. So the Coast Guard contacts us, and we got an oil spill, so we send a crew out there. We do have people trained for environmental cleanup. And we also do all the old military sites that are in Prince William Sound in this area, including Middleton Island. We've done environmental cleanup in all those places. So we do have a crew. And now we're going to end up with a facility in order to house all of our equipment. Most of it's been in a Connex. Coast Guard stored some of it for us. But it's not like just because we got Shepard Point Road, now we're going to be in oil spill response. We've always been in the oil spill response business. And God bless Andy and C1. You know, they started a little bit after we did and got the Ivy works for us. But and now they've got the Coast Guards here, so anything that happens, they're contacted. And they're doing a good job.
Yeah, just bring back to this slide to show the last decade, 10 to 23, how many oil spills there are. So obviously, it's not just, you know, one big one that happens all the time. And then I think this slide again, the heat map that shows like how much traffic, and it's not just crude laden tankers, it's like big ships that carry containers. They hold a lot of fuel too. So we don't want to be, you know, harbinger of doom and gloom, but like possibilities there, and this isn't going to be lessened anytime soon. There's only going to be more traffic running between across the Pacific. So having something like this, like Shepard Point, is helpful in many ways, because when bad stuff happens, when you have an oil spill or drift grounding or power grounding or whatever the case is, if you never have the right things in the right places, you can't predict. So if you have a bunch and they're capable, and one's shut down because of weather or their own mechanical issues or whatever, it's nice to have another one that's redundant. And we all know as the Arctic sea ice retreats faster and faster every year, there's just more traffic on it there. So the demand for response is only increasing, and just having that general awareness and having those resources somewhat close by. When you say close by, it could be 4 days. You know, if you're doing 8 knots in rough seas, it's nice to have some extra capability. So it's not just Prince William Sound. There's a much larger picture going on here. So, any other questions, Heather? You have a hand up. Maybe that's something.
The changing of winds and things. One of the things that we've been talking about lately is the movement of water and erosion, etc. We were just looking at pictures the other day of erosion on Orca Road, not last winter, but the winter before. Have we thought about putting any reinforcements into this road to keep the land from moving away from sea swells, etc., winter storms, whatnot? Has that been built into our?
Yeah, I can normally address that.
The basic road prison construction is all shot rock. It's all in place and compacted. I can't say it won't ever move, but it's unlikely to. It's all of the standard practices. We found a couple of places where land uphill from the road has caused us to consider some options. We're trying to observe a little bit to see how it reacts before we decide how we're gonna try to stabilize it or if we have. But it's basically, it's either on a bench of rock with a little bit of rock on top of it, or it's on a fill that's all rock. So barring a major quake, I don't think any of it's going anywhere.
Norm, could you talk a little bit about the areas where the road comes down to the water level and the elevations that we're working with to avoid just, king tides and wind and all that?
The areas where we're coming down on the beach, the roadway elevation is at elevation 30. The studies we've had done put peak tsunami elevations at about 24. So what I've tried to do is get it where we've got a bit of room for wave action and the rest of it without material impacting. And anything that's down in the water will have heavy riprap protection to keep it from eroding.
So your 30 feet, is that above mean lower low water?
Low.
Pardon?
So it's above
Yeah.
mean lower
Yeah.
low
Oh, yeah.
water, zero in the tide book, so you're essentially.
Yeah, we're
15
using
feet
mean
above
low water is
highest
0
tides.
for us.
So plus 30 is
Yeah.
15 above high water, astronomical high. So that's
Normal high tide is around 17 and a half. Higher high tide is about 17 and a half.
Around here. I see the highest tide.
Higher
the
high, you
highest-
said higher high tide.
It's high. It's a high. It's like meat tide high.
Yeah.
astronomical high.
Astronomical high.
Highest I ever see in the tide book is less than 16.
16.
Do I hear 20? No? Right.
Hey, Colin.
Yes,
This is gonna be an unpaved road,
gravel,
gravel. Any way we could put a little paved section in there for e-scooting? Just asking for a friend.
You could have gold plated if you bring enough money. So no, there will be no, unfortunately. But it'll be a nice road to ride a mountain bike on. No rollerblading. Mountain rollerblades or something. All right, any last questions? And I don't want to end on time, but certainly have time for questions.
When are you guys gonna hire some locals?
We were just talking about that. We do have locals. We've had 10 total. We have 2 or 3 full-time right now. And as
We'll hire any local that wants to work. Like, I am good with it. Like, I want to, and like, I'm kind of speaking over Joe because he's like my boss, right? But like, we will hire anyone that wants to work that is capable of doing any of the tasks, okay? We are both union contractors, so we kind of need that, which is a tough thing, and a lot of people don't want to swallow it. But if you jump into it and you do it for a year, like the amount of hours that they're going to get on this, they'll be vested in the union. They'll have dental, they'll have all this stuff. We're good with it. And what in our meeting today, I was like, I would rather do that. It is way better for me financially to find someone local that will do this work, that is willing to join the union, than find someone and house them. Okay, so we're advertising, we're telling everyone, we want to, that is totally what we want. And I'm Alaskan, I don't like people from out of state coming up here and working, like, I don't like that. I don't want, like, us to just jump into your area, your little playground, and like, start doing all of our stuff and not hire people. We would hire anyone. We use as many local contractors as we can. Every tree that's been cut, local. Every barge that's come in, besides AML, which granted they're out of state, but all of our shipping and stuff is local. We do everything we can local. Our commodes, what do you want to say it? Like porta potties, poopers, they're handled by local. A dude came to me with a proposal, and I was like, I will take that and do it. Like, and he runs it. He owns that, and it's awesome. It's off my plate. Like, I want to do that. So that's what we say about hiring locals. Like, I'm in it.
And we talked about today about getting a sheet of like what to plan for future jobs in like the next year potentially, and so the tribe is going to get those out to the community and make it as easy and streamlined as we can. It takes people to apply and it takes people to have the credentials to do it, but I think if they're willing, as you heard, they're willing to work with people to make it happen.
I mean, if there's people available that have experience in doing any sort of construction labor and or operating any sort of equipment, we're open to having conversations with them. We can sponsor them to join the union and then come to work on the project as trained.
Is it local 71?
It's labor, like right now for me, it's laborers 302 and 341 for operators, I think.
302 for operators, 341 for laborers.
Yeah.
I just joined local 71.
Local what?
71.
What's that?
It's through the state.
But what's the union?
I guess driving.
Yeah,
Trucker?
I think it's
Trucker,
Teamsters.
yeah.
I think it's Teamsters.
Trucker, heavy equipment. I just recently got my class with ACDL with all my courses.
Well, then, yeah, send something in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Sure.
yeah.
712s, it's lots of work. We're stay busy. Our crews work hard. They do. We work 712s. We bang hours. It's gonna happen. Project's not gonna stop. That's how we expect to finish this project and turn it over in a timely manner. So people that are willing and want to work, we have positions.
That's our job.
Okay, well, I have to get your number.
All right.
We got that.
You can have the honor watcher job, like at the harbor.
That's a cool one. If you got that in the harbor, there's one. Oh, there's one. Yeah.
So yeah, we will have marine mammal observers. Obviously, right now we're not doing a ton of in-water work. That's for in-water work. We do have the need for close proximity to shore blast stream. And when that is, we do have somebody on site right now, currently local Stephen Rios, that's there performing that duty. But as the in-water work at Shepard Point begins, we're going to need more MMOs, and so that opportunity will also come available. That work is right now tentatively scheduled to start in 26. So as we progress, obviously we'll be looking to fill those positions.
But yeah, if you're a driver, I'll take it. Yeah. If you want to work in Anchorage, I'll take it. But, like, I can't find people to hire. Like, honestly, you guys act like we're not, like, we really want to hire people. Like, it's so hard to get people to do anything. I'm eager to have anyone.
So they don't have any kids.
What's that?
Hopefully you don't have any kids if you're working 712s.
Well, usually you don't. Usually you don't. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
The lady with the scarf.
What is the one very important question that nobody in this room asked that we should have asked you, Colin?
Why is website spelled wrong?
Why is what?
Why is website spelled wrong?
I know. I don't have an answer to that one. No, the public road thing is probably the most common one. When can people use it is the next one, as soon as it's done. I don't think there's any one particular question. I think we hit most of them. Jobs and stuff. And yeah. So we were leading with?
There's gotta be some interesting fact that we don't know that you know. That's how every project ends, right?
know.
What's the thing?
I know we're gonna do a bridge naming at some point. That's pretty cool. You know, bridges in Cordova have to have names, but that's down the road.
We get to help you name bridges.
It'll be a theme.
It's all gonna be logged.
It's all gonna be
From
long.
Orca all the way up to the head of the bay, it's all gonna be logged.
I didn't know that. Good to know. It's good to know.
Log
Yes.
in the book. Log.
This is
You're
gonna
gonna
go
log it all,
question.
like everything.
I might have missed this in the beginning because I missed the first 10 minutes. But why is NVE interested in like managing this? What is the tie there? Is it purely just because of the land, or is there some sort of Eyak corporation, whoever is in charge?
Great. Take it away.
The Native Village of Eyak has been working on this since 1989 when the oil spill happened, and it was put into federal law that all of the communities in Prince William Sound had to have a deep water port. We have taken how many years to do that, and we have been going against federal law, and so
Titlic and Shenanigans got
Titlic and
theirs.
Shenanigans both have theirs. Obviously Whittier and Valdez have them. So that's the main interest, is that we have a federal responsibility to have this site.
EVOS compliance.
It's also an entity, a government entity that provides the vessel to communicate with the United States to get the funding. So that's, yeah.
there any plans for SERS or Alaska to get a deep draft oil spill vessel?
Lots of discussion, but again, that's business development. That's really outside of our world of work. But I know there's discussions on who's going to bring what and who's going to manage it, who's going to run it.
But right now, we don't have any.
We're working with a couple companies, but most likely Shadow is one of the ones that does the majority of oil spill response, and so they would be renting the facility most likely. It's still in preliminary conversations, but that's the company that does the majority of oil spill response in Alaska.
So with the oil spill, this is a question from one of the contractors.
You can't ask
Let
questions.
you know. So does the skimmers and stuff that you run, John, are those going to be moved to this site? Like we're going to move those there? Not sure.
Business development.
That serves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
Well, there's I'm just guessing here, but because SERVS is in Nelson Bay, there's a logical connection for the drills. I don't know if that's going to be reality. There's a logical connection. However, with vessel of opportunity skimmers, response vessels, they're in the harbor. So I don't think there's a reason to move them, but there's a logical connection to do something at their training or the mini barges or whatever. But again, that's not part of.
Our business development is and also beginning conversations with SERVS to potentially work out business contracts, but that's potentially going to be like 2027 when things start getting a little bit more real and bigger conversations are had. Like I've been said before, it's really trying to just get this project happening and getting those federal funds spent in a timely manner, because you have to have them spent or the federal government takes it back. So it's important to get the project completed.
I think it's pretty cool because I grew up when the 1989 election happened, and I was born and raised here, and 1989 March, whenever it was, Good Friday, I just remember I was like, Dad, are we not gonna be able to go on the boat? And every single boat in Whittier, Valdez, Cordova was rented to go clean off oil from all the stuff, and they didn't have any ability to do anything. And I'm just like, finally, I'm like, oh my God, really? I'm gonna do something to fix that? Because I remember going to Seal Island like 10 years later, and there's still sludge on the beach. I'm like, well, damn it, So I'm all about it. It's awesome. It's a good deal. Sorry, I got
Edison Quest came for the last 3 or 4 years. They're the ones that took over Crowley, so they got the new oil spill response equipment that's in Valdez, and they came over and met with the tribe for the last 3 years, looking to recruit some people to work for them. They build their own ships. They have training centers. They'll teach you how to weld, but they would like to have local Native people go to Louisiana or Mississippi, wherever they're at, to try and recruit people from this area. And they're well aware of what's going on at Shepard Point and what our capabilities are as a tribe.
Thanks. Okay, that's all I have. Thanks for everyone's time. Thanks for the team, and thanks for your questions.
Thanks, Collin.
No problemo. Thanks, everyone.
Do your flash drive?
I did. Thank you very much. Thanks for helping me along.
Absolutely.
Does that work?
That worked
Good?
great, and we have people online too, so.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, Darcy. Hi, Darcy. It's my neighbor. Tana, you enjoy it?